Now, what we have is a discussion now about what Keir Starmer's been doing. Well, he's been, obviously, we've seen the flags out with Keir Starmer. Now he's talking up NATO, and at the same time, he's been criticising Jeremy Corbyn and Stop the War. So I thought we could give a little platform to Stop the War, who've been on the receiving end of some very damaging sort of remarks from the nasal leader of the Labour Party. Are you there, Chris Nineham? Have you found Chris Nineham?
I'm here. I've just managed to unmute myself.
Oh, great, Chris. So we're surprised by Keir Starmer's kind of belligerence about NATO and getting involved with Ukraine and all that stuff. Were you suspecting he'd do that anyway?
Well, no, it came a bit out of the blue, I have to say, so to speak. I mean, in a general sense, we're quite used to these kind of attacks. Obviously, I mean, we've had them from obviously the establishment generally and the Labour right in particular over time. So I suppose you've got to put it in the context partly of the fact that there is, a serious, as we've already discussed, a serious threat of another war emerging, and that's the context in which he's done it. And I suppose as well, this is him. I mean, a lot of people have said, why is he doing this so specifically? I mean, I guess this is him trying to prove his usefulness to the establishment one more time, as if that wasn't clear already. And funnily enough, he got, I don't know if people saw this, but the day after the attacks, he actually got an article there was an editorial in the Wall Street Journal saying, "Congratulations, Keir, you're a good guy. This is the most right-wing of Murdoch's many right-wing titles." He basically got a big puff in the Wall Street Journal, so job done from his point of view in a certain sense. I also take it, well, I mean, there's two other things I think is worth saying. One is, I think it's kind of testimony to, the extent to which there is massive anti-war feeling in this country, the extent to which the anti-war movement has been a real block to the sort of ambitions of the British establishment in the years since the Iraq War. So that's quite important, and I think we've got to say that we are still in this game very, very strongly. And one of the things that's really hit me is that we've had hundreds of people joining Stop the War since Thursday. We've had thousands of people joining Twitter. We've had our inboxes full of messages of support and stuff. So, I think it's still the case that the anti-war movement represents the opinion of the majority of people in this country. And in a way, that's one of the things that he was trying to tackle. That's one of the things he was trying to deal with.
So is Stop the War planning anything about NATO? I mean, is it a protest against NATO? Would that not go down quite well as a sort of an idea? Or does Stop the War just mostly focus on specific conflicts that it's against?
No, we're very much part of. There is an international kind of network that campaigns against NATO, and we've always participated in that. We organised an event at the NATO summit in Wales in, I think it was 2014, and we're always part of those protests and demonstrations. And we're very much campaigning now around, obviously the argument against war over Ukraine is partly an argument about what NATO is. And, one of the things that struck me about Keir Starmer's Guardian editorial piece, which was then sort of weirdly kind of sort of megaphoned by the fact that the Guardian ran a piece saying Keir Starmer's written a piece in the Guardian attacking Stop the War. But one of the things about it was that it's so kind of ignorant and illiterate. I mean, the idea that NATO is an organisation that is about democracy and security, it's just, that's a denial of even the most recent history. It's a denial of the Afghan occupation, which was run by NATO. It's to ignore the reality of the bombing of Libya, which was run by NATO. I mean, even Iraq, you know, most of the countries that led it were the key countries in NATO. And funnily enough, one of the things that we remembered, luckily, and Lindsay German wrote an article in The Guardian about, was that Keir Starmer was against the Iraq war and claimed to have been on the demos against the Iraq war. So he's kind of critiquing himself now, you know, his former self. So I mean, I think it's very important, and in a serious note, I think it is very important, given that there is now a really quite terrifying threat of war, that we're very, very clear about our arguments about NATO. That you know, actually, over the period since the collapse of the Soviet Union, NATO has moved eastwards, despite the fact that it's constantly being suppressed. That a whole number of politicians from Britain, from the US, and the West gave Gorbachev's absolute assurances that NATO wouldn't move east. It actually has moved east. 14 countries in Eastern Europe have acceded to NATO since then. You know, this is the context. NATO is an expansionist, aggressive force.
Yeah.
And, you know, we need to be very, very clear about that, really.
Right. Well, look, we've got to move on, but I hope we can talk again about what's going on in the Ukraine and also what else comes up. So thanks a lot for coming on. Thanks a lot for coming on, Chris.